What's up, everybody? Welcome back, Fins Faithful. Everyone, you're going to want to buckle up for this one. We're joined by a very, very special guest, award-winning columnist. He's an author. He's a Hall of Fame voter. You know him well from coming as senior writer from Outkick and Fox News, Armando Salguero. I mean, he's a man who spent many years covering the Miami Dolphins very close up. And with the Dolphins riding this high in this win streak, I think there's a couple of questions still to ask. Is it enough to save Mike McDaniel's job? We're going to break that down. We're going to dive into everything that's happening and with the Dolphins this past season, the highs, the concerns, what this run actually means. You don't want to miss a second to this, so pull up a chair, hit that like button, subscribe. I got my co-host and co-pilot here as always, Mr. Jason Sarney. Sarney, what's up, man? How you doing?
How you doing, George? Thanks for joining us, everybody. Yeah, we got Armando Salguero. He's one of the best in the business, one of the nicest beat writers. I remember meeting him for the first time a couple of years back at Hard Rock. Just so inviting to folks like us and welcoming. So really looking forward to pick his brain a little bit. And you mentioned, of course, is this going to save Mike McDaniel's job? We are in the midst of a little bit of a playoff push here, yes. George. You know, there's a lot of optimism, some optimism from some skepticism from others, but they are in it. They're in the hunt. And they have 4 games left, and I think that they could win them. It's just a matter of the help that is needed. So that's the tease. Let's bring Armando up, I would say.
We'll get into that, and we'll get into what it means, and we'll get into the questions that still need to be answered. And let's bring up our special guest here, Armando Salguero. Armando. Oh, we got Jason on the big.
Oh, yeah, get me off the big. Get Armando on the big.
No, it's good. Jason's got a better background than I do, bro. Both of you have a better background than I do. It's like I got to step up my background game.
Yeah.
I'll take it, Armando. I'll take it.
I'll figure out how to change it. But let's get into it. Armando, welcome back. Thanks for coming on here again. Your second time on the show. We hadn't talked since February. We haven't talked since the season started. Obviously, just your thoughts before we get into, start with some of the positive and head coach and all that and the GM. But your thoughts on the season. Dolphins started 2-7, now won 4 straight, 5 out of the last 6. Is just more of the same? Your kind of thoughts if you kind of put this in perspective here this season so far.
Yeah, they're undefeated without Chris Grier. I wonder who was calling for Chris Grier's job back in 2019. Oh yeah, that was me. Yeah, that's it. That was me. Look, guys, back in the day, 2019, I would say, when Stephen Ross decided we're going to go, in a different direction, and Mike Tannenbaum is out and Adam Gase is out, I did not understand but I'm keeping Chris Grier move because concerned, and from everything that they had all told me, they were all joined at the hip. And so if you're going to oust the head coach and the executive vice president for football operations and keep the general manager, you've basically left part of the problem intact. And obviously, the reason that they did that was because Chris Grier agreed to the tank. And the other 2 guys would never have done that. And that's the moment where you remember Steve Ross said, yeah, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. And some seasons you got 9 wins or 10 wins. And then the next year you're back at 7-9 or whatever it was, 7-10. We can't do that anymore. We need to do something that will bring us a contention for championships consistently year after year. That didn't happen. Here we are. We're doing the same thing all over again. And the thing I see with Ross again is an owner who has repeatedly kept part of the issue intact, and not when he's made changes, is very likely to do it again if Mike McDaniel can continue to rally the team. And I'm not saying Mike McDaniel is part of the problem, but he's part of the problem. Let's just be honest. You've got a head coach who doesn't get his team ready to play at the beginning of the season. We've seen it 2 years in a row. He rallies them late. But rallying them late means you feel good about not being in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't see that as a solution. I would do it a different way. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. You talked about, so you see more of the same here, the 2-6. So what do you make of this? What's real here? What do you make of this 4-game, 5 out of the last 6? Is it, the opponents obviously the running game's improved on both sides. My co-host Jason Sardi had a great tweet today. Polarizing tweet. They are 0-7 when they throw the ball 30 or more times this season. They're 6-0 when they run it 30 or more times. Seems like a pretty simple formula, a little potion for success there. Where do we put the blame on this slow start? Because it's even worse when it happens coming off a season where you should have learned that lesson. What do you think about this late run? How much do we take out of it and kind of with McDaniel? And where do you point the blame here of the slow starts?
Right. So first of all, about that tweet, good tweet. Very, and really, you look at the reason for the tweet. Devon Achane is arguably the best running back in the NFL. And yeah, I said that. What is he? 3rd in the league in rushing, I think. He has more rushing yards, more touchdowns, and more yards per carry than Jahmyr Gibbs, who everybody says is Barry Sanders reincarnated, and better than Bijan Robinson, who everybody says is amazing and what a playmaker. Oh my God. And yet, the Miami Dolphins running back is, having a better season than both of them. And he's I think more yards per carry than the lead, Jonathan Taylor. So there is that. I like it when they decide to run the football because honestly, they're better at that right now than passing the football. And people are going to say, well, you're ripping Tua. Well, dude, I mean, he's the passer. I mean, I'm sorry. If he was throwing the ball, great, I'd say they're great passing the ball, but they're not. And he needs to clean up those interceptions. I don't have any idea how he's going to do it, but it must be done because people who are saying they're going to break ties with him after this season and stuff, yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. I wouldn't bet on that at all. The defense also has got to come into play.
Run defense, especially. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're on their 4-game streak. They lead the NFL in points allowed during that time. Okay, 13.3 points per game. They're second in takeaways during that time with 10. They're 3rd in third down defense during that time. I think it's 30.8% third down defense. So something's really good is happening. And here's the question. Is it something really good is happening because the Dolphins have raised up to here? Or is something really good happening because the opposition has lowered down to here? That is the question. And if you look at the last 4 games, I'm not thinking the New York Jets are a powerhouse. I'm not thinking that the New Orleans Saints are a powerhouse. I'm not thinking that the Washington Commanders, without Jaden Daniels and everybody else hurt, is a powerhouse. The Buffalo Bills are the win of the season. That was an amazing win. You cannot take anything away from the Dolphins for doing that. The Bills, did them and they're sorry for it. But hey, the result is the result. But outside of that result, the Dolphins generally are doing this year what they've done in the past. They've beaten, bad teams and lost to good teams. And sometimes they lose to bad teams like the Cleveland Browns.
Armando, I wanted to follow up on that, and thank you for using the word good, because it was a little bit of a crazy day for me. I did not expect that tweet to kind of take the point. The point that I was trying to kind of make when I wrote that, number one, it was a very unique distribution of a record when two different levels of the game. Not many other teams have an 0-7 mark when you throw 30 plus times. And I wasn't trying to insult Tua. I really was trying to kind of play on how running the ball, not just when you're up. Obviously, when you run 30 plus times, a team is probably going to win. But my argument is, number one, you can win because you are running the ball early and often. And let's go back to that Buffalo game for a quick second. In the first half of that signature win, they ran the ball in the first half 20 times versus 14 pass attempts. So you're not necessarily waiting for the fourth quarter to run 15 times to close the game out. There's an argument to be made that they won the game because they started and stuck with the run. Now, the life that it kind of took on was saying, yeah, Tua is not good. We can't rely on him to throw 30 times. We could talk about that a little bit later, but the fact of the matter is, I agree with what you said. They are a more effective offense running the ball than they are relying on having to pass the ball. And to go to the Saints game real quick, something that really bothered me in that game when they really should have been up like 28 points in the first half, they got a turnover. And then Mike McDaniel has Tua throw in double coverage to try to get a quick score. When give the defense some time to relax, run the ball 2 or 3 times, soften them up, get a 4-minute drive, get a field goal at least, but just run, soften that defense up, and then attack. So I think that they need to set up the pass with the run. And I think it's evident by being the top rushing team in the last 4 weeks in the NFL, while the defense is playing great. And that's a formula for December football, Armando.
And it's not just for the Miami Dolphins, by the way, because I cover the entire NFL for Outkick. You see that when teams have some balance, or when teams defer to running over passing, they typically have more success. It's as simple as that. It's not that hard, guys. I mean, in Miami, it seems like we are wired to must have great passing attacks. And when we do, obviously people are doing the waddle, and Stephen Ross is doing the waddle in his little press box, and everybody's happy and they're dancing because they put a 70 burger on the Ravens and stuff like that, and people love it. But you're more that is fantasy football. It's not playoff football. It's not reality. It's not go to Buffalo and win football. It's not go to New England and win football. It's not that kind. And we've seen it for decades. How many times did I cover Dan Marino, blowing up opponents in the regular season, and then they go to Buffalo and they cannot run the ball, and they're going home unhappy. And meanwhile, the Bills are rushing for 324 yards and sending Don Shula off into retirement. It is just a fact. The Detroit Lions this year aren't running the ball, or haven't been at times, as well as they have in the past. And so their play action pass game doesn't work as well. And so now people are going, Goff isn't as good as we thought. And, we lost our offensive coordinator. That must be it. No, you're not calling it as much. You're not as good at it, apparently. You are, really, because Gibbs is great. They got back to it this other last week, and you saw what happened. It's a thing in the NFL. I know that you pass and that sells tickets. You run to win championships. Run, play good defense, win playoffs.
Yeah, something we haven't figured out here. And a couple points is what Jason made, but also rushing attempts. That's the key too. You got to have attempts. I think the Dolphins could run the ball sometimes, but there was this infatuation. I think, honestly, Armando, the Tyreek Hill injury hurt Tua, but might have helped the team because it forced Mike to choose this new identity, right? Like he had to choose it because Jason, you said it's not a direct shot at Tua. No, it's not. But here's the bottom line: he hasn't been very good. He's not very good at all right now. He's probably 25. If I rank the quarterbacks 1 through 32, he's probably 25 to 32 for me. He's their best player is Devon A-Chain. This is the formula. My question to you, Armando, is, and this is something I said when they traded for Tyreek Hill. I said this might be the beginning of the end of it because I think Mike made a mistake. His best, you're seeing what Mike does really well now. The run game, he can create. He's got a brilliant mind for that. And will he stick with this now? When they're down 14-0, we haven't seen them behind and running, right? Do you think Mike realizes, hey, if I want to be successful as a coach, maybe stick around here. This has got to be the new thing. Like, I have to start here. This has got to be my identity.
I think his identity is he wants to throw the ball, right? I think that's what he wants to do. I think that his survival skill will force him to do the other thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about winning and losing games anymore, my brother. You want to have a job? If you want to have a job, maybe you should just do what is going well and what is the formula for success, which right now is running the football first, doing the other magical stuff that everybody gets mesmerized by and with the behind the back, handoffs and all that stuff. Do that second and everybody will be happy. And oh, by the way, win at the end of the year, which is another thing that I've got with Mike McDaniel that I'm not happy about, but whatever. If you ask questions,
we'll get, I want to follow up. He knows the deal. Because it's funny you say that, and Vic Fangio. We had Dave Hyde on, and Dave said that whole 70, because I always said that whole 70-point offense, that was a wildcat thing. You caught the league by surprise. These guys catch up. You know what I mean? And the Dolphins are going to have to adjust what they're doing now in a few games again. The league's going to, you put it on film. He said that he talked to Vic Fangio. He says, what do you think about this whole after that 70-point game? He goes, just hold off. Hold off. Wait, the league will figure it out. Just wait before we get crazy in the offense. Dave's like, no, I want to be, I'm sure you know Dave, so I think it was more they caught the league by surprise. And then the true point was, how did Mike figure it out? And he never did. He never was able to counter it. Like you said, and you make a great point. I said he was here to be the head coach of Tua Tagovailoa, not the Miami Dolphins. And now he's figuring out, you got to go stare at Jordan Brooks, and you got to lead him. You got to stare at Zach Sealer, Russell Douglas. And this notion, I'm curious in your opinion on this, this notion that because they play for Mike, that he's the right coach. Well, they like their situation. I always say guys are in elevated situations here, and it's a country clubhouse. They don't dislike him. They're going to play for him. Doesn't necessarily mean he's the right fabric to be the head coach. Both things could be true, right, Armando?
Well, on the bright side, this is what I see from Mike McDaniel. He is adjusting and adapting. Let me give you an example. I think it was last week or the week before. I'm not sure. They start to run together after a while. He's talking about how he changed his messaging and how he talks to the team. So now the speeches are not, 40 minutes long or 30 minutes long. Now they're maybe 10 minutes long and 50. And if you hear Mike McDaniel talk, it's a word salad very often.
It's interesting.
It's interesting to have to keep up yeah.
He's trying to figure out what he's going to say, right? Is that what?
I think what happens is he's trying to be sometimes cute, and he doesn't get to cute quick enough, so he has the helper to give him a beat to try to get to.
Very good. Yeah.
That does not work in an NFL meeting room. That does not work when you're presenting to a team, and that does not work when you are under tough conditions and players are starting to doubt whether you should be the guy at the head of the room or not. It works when things are going great. It works, when, like you said, years ago, nobody has figured you out and you're 6-0 or 6-1 or whatever, and things are, hey, we're rolling, baby. I'm a genius. But when you're 2-7, guys are sitting there going, look, MFer, get me some answers because I'm not getting a playoff check. What's up?
Yeah.
And so, to his credit, he has adjusted and he is learning on the fly. And I understand it. He didn't coach here before he coached here as a head coach. So he's growing. God bless him for that. I think that's awesome. I think that's great. He has to continue to do that. And the next step is, if he keeps his job, bro, figure out how to start a season. Because it's like somebody has handed you a shovel, and every season you dig a hole that you put your team in at the start of the season. You don't get them ready fast enough for the season. We know this. This is not an opinion. This is now a fact. You started this season 2-7. You started last season 2-6. Do something different if you're around at the start of next season, or you might not get to the end of next season.
Yeah. So speaking of that, you touched on it a little bit. And shout out, we're talking to Armando Salguero from Outkick and Fox News here. Long time, covered the Dolphins for a long time. Everybody, guys, put that thumbs up, little thumbs up. Hit the bell. It takes a second. Help support us here. Armando, you talked about, what does he have to do? You said if he saves his job or if he's around. Ross loves him. I was told, I don't know if you heard this, that Ross is worried about the Dan Campbell situation, that this is a guy who's going to do better in his second stop. You got to get a second stop first. That's first off. You know what I mean? What does he have to do, do you think, to save it? Win out? Is it simple as that? Or, because he hasn't lost the locker room. That's clear. Like, that question's clear.
Right. So, yeah, you win out. It would be a pretty compelling argument that, hey, you know what? It didn't go great at the beginning, but I deserve a chance because we recovered. And he's going to play the adversity card. We answered adversity. Our backs were against the wall. Times were tough. We traded away, or we were on the, at the trade deadline, we were sellers. And despite all of that, we rallied. And that is a compelling argument. So there is that. But that's not the question. The question is he going to win out? Because we just assumed that. And I have my doubts. Because the schedule has said, again, they've gotten a little fat on teams that are like, I'm Cuban, guys. You know that, right?
Yeah.
There's a word called lechon, which is, I guess, a pig.
Yeah.
They've gotten fat on the, on the Christmas ham, on the lechon for Noche Buena the last few weeks. Again, the Commanders, the Saints, the Jets. It's not going to be as easy going forward. The Steelers are they have urgency and they're good. They have a better quarterback than the Dolphins. The Buccaneers have urgency and they're good and they have a better quarterback than the Dolphins. The Patriots are a better team than the Dolphins. They have a better quarterback than the Dolphins and they have a better coach than the Dolphins, and they're at home. Now, obviously, the Patriots at the end of the season, we don't know what their situation is going to be. I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but the Patriots might be resting their guys, on the final Sunday of the season because they've either clinched the top playoff seed or can't do anything with a win. And if September 1, Armando had heard, December, whatever today is, December 10th, Armando say that, he would have said, you're crazy. Because who expected the Patriots to be the best team, arguably, in the NFL this year. It's like,
Nothing
what?
like a good pun.
Are you serious right now? It's the freaking Patriots? Yeah, well, yeah, it's the freaking Patriots. And it's bad news for Miami and Buffalo and the Jets.
We got nothing like a good punk on the show, Mondo. I don't even touch the ham. He said.
Very nice. Very nice.
Armando, you make a good point. No one really expected the Patriots to be where they are. This has been a weird year. This has kind of been a really tough year for Miami to not be better because it's such an open season. Like, what's the Super Bowl matchup? I really don't think anybody could predict an accurate matchup right now. It could be any two teams. It's an absolute toss-up. So, it's kind of a upside-down year. But you were talking about quarterbacks just now. Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, obviously what Drake May is doing. Let's bring this full circle. Let's talk Tua. And George and I have talked on previous shows. A lot of people have said there might be a regression. It could be physical. It could be mental. It could be a combination of both. What are your thoughts about Tua? Is there a regression? What is your overall consensus of how he's playing this year?
Has he lost athleticism? I mean, he shouldn't. How old is he? 26?
27.
27?
Yeah.
That should be like the peak of his athleticism. And yet he looks less athletic than when he came here as a rookie in 2020. He also looks thicker, and I get it. He needed to get a little thicker because, concussions. Right. Well, the concussions were a thing, so he needed to build himself up a little bit. But I've seen guys build themselves up and they don't lose quickness. They don't lose speed. They don't lose agility. Lamar Jackson was a stick when he came to the NFL. And now if you stand next to Lamar Jackson, he's like this, guys. I mean, the thin waist and then it goes this way. And I'm like, this, all right, that doesn't show through a uniform.
Yeah.
The problem with Tua is he seems to be less athletic than he was, and he wasn't exactly elite in athleticism to begin with. He wasn't the guy. He wasn't Justin Herbert. He wasn't the guy that's going to throw it 85 yards or run a 4-6 or anything like that. And now it looks like he's diminished from that.
He doesn't look like an NFL. I mean, let's be honest, he looks like a UPS driver. Like, if Tua walked in your room, you wouldn't be, if Justin Herbert walks in the room, that doesn't mean everything. But like, Tua looks like just your next door neighbor. Like, he's not 6'4", 6'3", 6'5". And we have a theory. I know Jason wants to follow up, but I have a theory. I think the hip when he came out, Armando, they said, because I remember that draft, and was it Adam Beasley? You guys covered that closely. I remember it was the COVID year, and it was crazy. Like, that draft, I remember, was the most anticipated draft I think ever for the Dolphins. Back and forth, Herbert too, or whatever, or they wanted to take an offensive tackle or whatever. I remember all those rumors, but that hit was like 6 to 8 years. I think you're seeing a guy who's an old 27. Like, that's what I think you're seeing, because it's clearly the arm strength's not there. There's other things he's doing. He's not as comfortable. He's rushing the ball. He used to throw to spots. Now he's waiting for guys to get over. Just a lot of things. His mechanics are being affected. I think that's doing a lot with his accuracy and the interceptions. A lot of things. That's just my theory on it. Or else, hey, life without Tyreek Hill ain't so easy. It ain't guys as wide open. But that's kind of my theory. I'll let Jason go ahead and.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, I think that there's a couple of things that could combine into why we might be seeing the way Tua is playing. Yes, the hip. It might be starting to catch up. I think when you suffer those concussions and you make the quote-unquote business decision to slide a couple of yards early, to maybe take the sack when instead of trying to extend the play and break away from the pocket. I know he has done that at times, but there are also times where you could just see him, all right, go down, or him give himself up a little bit too early. And what I've mainly noticed from the hit is I just don't think that torque is there where it used to be, where he knew what he was doing. As George says, he was throwing to his spot. And I think in the first 3 or 4 games of the year, you kind of saw that. So it almost goes back to what we all would love to see is let's make it a lot easier on Tua and run, utilize 3 running backs, not just Achane, utilize Jalen Wright, who's coming off his career game, utilize Ali Gordon. Those could help in the short yardage. But with Tua, I just think that you kind of have to protect him within the overall offense and make this a run-first team and set him up to hurt at spots. It's not necessarily going to be a Tua-led offense, especially in Pittsburgh. And whether or not the Patriots are playing their starters or not, you're still going into a New England game in January. It's not going to be easy for the Dolphins to kind of play through the elements. So, I'm not rooting against him, but I'm also all for the let's make it as easy as possible for him to make this offense succeed. And it might not be him who's making this offense succeed. It's the running game.
Well, you said a word there that sort of glows in neon, and this is the word: protect him. I guess that's 2 words. Thank you. I have trouble.
Go with the protect.
It's a bonus word. We'll go a bonus in there.
But protect should be in neon.
We're in December now. The rules are different, and around the NFL, quarterbacks know this. And quarterbacks that are fighting for their lives and their team's lives know that even Phillip Rivers said it today. If something goes wrong, I've got a long time to get better in the offseason. It's fine. You see it with the Buffalo Bills every December and January because they play into January, unlike some teams. Josh Allen, who was being protected earlier in the season, all of a sudden he's doing some freaking crazy stuff, man. And they're exposing him a little bit more because the reward is higher, so the risk needs to be higher. And I say all that to say this: if Tua, who has lived under a culture of don't hurt yourself, slide, don't, get out of bounds, do all the safe stuff. I get all that in September. I get all that in October. I get all that in November. It's December. Play football. Get me the extra yards. Do the extraordinary thing. Otherwise, your ass is going to be at home on a couch in January watching everybody else take risks. So take risks, because the way it's been going is barely good enough. 6-7 is not a good record. I'm sorry. You're not in the playoffs right now. Get to the playoffs. Do what you have to do. Take risks.
With that said, the follow-up I have for you, a couple of games ago, I think it was the Saints game, if I'm not mistaken, he rushes, he slides short of the first down. I think he thought that he picked up the first down, and he's smiling like he won the lottery, and I appreciate that. It was a nice little play, but are you saying that if we get to a situation in Pittsburgh where it's 3rd and 3, right, and pocket collapses, he's got to take off, don't slide, dive. Are you saying that this is what we might see from him, where he's going to lay out and go forward with that ball instead of giving himself up? Because I just didn't love seeing him so happy for being short of the sticks by giving out on the play. I get it. The head, I get it. He's a little worried, but are we going to be seeing a little bit more of that Baker Mayfield trying to plow potential tacklers over if he gets into a rushing situation?
So I'm glad you mentioned Pittsburgh. Their quarterback is 42 years old. 42 years old, okay? And last week, there was I don't know, I think it was either 4th and goal or 3rd and goal from the 3 or something like that. I think it was 4th down. and they call a pass play off of a fake, and there's nobody open, and it's going to be a mess. So what does the 42-year-old do? He runs. He takes off, and he outruns the entire defense to the boundary, gets in for a touchdown. Eventually, the Steelers win the game. If the 42-year-old guy can be doing that, I'm thinking that Tua Tagovailoa might consider, in exigent circumstances, to take it upon himself to do what is not expected, not required, but helpful. Help the team. Do the extraordinary if you have to, if you can. Now is the time. It's not, I don't know how to say it any more clear. It's not September. It's December. Your season is on the line. Play like it.
And he has done that. Like years prior, he has laid his body out. No one's questioning the toughness.
No.
I'm questioning the worry now.
What happens when he lays his body out?
But he has done that, and then he gets basically talking to afterwards. No, don't do that. No, we don't want you doing that. The culture has been protect Tua. And what I am saying is it's time to take the culture and hold on a minute. This is the culture. With Tua, protect Tua. No,
throw it out.
We don't protect Tua in the last 3 weeks of the season. We ask Tua to do more because everybody else asks their players to do more.
Yeah, and I want to say this. I said this. You remember, Jason, when I said if he's afraid to do that or he can't do that simple play, he shouldn't think about playing the quarterback position. Obviously, he won't because of the money, but maybe he should be out there.
He's not afraid. It's been drilled into his head by coaches and the owner and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Well, somebody has to re-drill the same hole and tell them, do this. Yeah. Because look, if you don't and we lose, you're going to have a long off season anyway. And it doesn't matter if we get to the end of the season or not. It sucks for us.
Yeah.
So.
Great point. Yeah. Shout out to everybody in the chat.
Lay it on the line.
Yeah.
This is the time.
Make sure you guys come on over YouTube if you have any questions for Armando in the chat. Armando, any chance? I know two questions, two-part here. Do you think they know organizationally that he's not the guy moving forward? Have they made that decision in that building, you think? And two, no. Any chance they move off him with that money left on the table, or is he guaranteed, or just things have to go tremendously south? Those two questions, whatever one you want to take first.
Yeah, so they don't have a general manager. So they can't know organizationally what direction anything's going to happen. I think they are focused, and should be, by the way, on, Sunday or Monday, the next week. That's the focus. It's not March. I don't think it's March. And if it's March, something is wrong. So I don't think they know that. And I'm not sure whether Champ Kelly is going to be the next general manager or not. He's going to have a chance. He's going to get an interview. My sense is, there was a story out a couple of weeks ago. The Dolphins are going to have all these great people come in and accomplished general managers come in for interviews. That was the thing from Rap Sheet and from Adam Schefter, and I'm sure the club leaked that to them so that it would be a nice narrative. Dude, the accomplished people have jobs. So what are you talking about? Because that's how they accomplished. I was here in 2014 when the general manager search, because again, Stephen Ross broke the marriage in half and decided to keep one end of the marriage and get rid of the other end. So he kept Joe Philbin. He got rid of Jeff Ireland, And people that came in to interview, they said, well, yeah, but we can bring in our own head coach, right? No, you have to keep Joe Philbin. Oh, well, okay, bye. Or they got opportunities for second interviews and turned them down. I'm telling you that will repeat with some people if they keep Mike McDaniel, because Mike McDaniel, great guy that he is, fine mind that he is, this, that, and the other thing, isn't for everybody. And there will be opportunities, or there could be out there, where you can bring your own guy. And that maximizes, in the mind of some people, the opportunity to succeed. Whereas if you are part of a shotgun wedding, I don't know, I have to do the study on that, but I don't know how many of those actually succeed. I'm sure that some do, but in Miami, they haven't. They have never succeeded. They haven't. I mean, think about it. So think about this. Sperano and Ireland came in together. Sperano got fired. Ireland got kept. Then it was Ireland and Philbin. They didn't get along. Then Philbin got kept. Ireland got fired. Hickey and Philbin didn't get along. Then Hickey got gone. Philbin stayed, and then he got fired. And it was like, okay. And now in 2016, they brought in the three guys, Gase and Chris Greer and Tannenbaum. And then after 3 years, they got rid of two of the three, as we discussed earlier. So now you've got Greer, part of the shotgun wedding with Flores. Guess what? They didn't get along. And so Flores goes. And then you've got now Greer and McDaniel. And they got along fine. But once again, we're getting rid of one and keeping the other. It doesn't work in Miami so far. That is not arguable. That is not a debate. Those are things that happened. And so I am just if you're going to marry somebody, pick them out. Pick them out yourself, and don't I mean, this is in India. We don't arrange marriages.
Blind date. Blind date. It's funny you say that. I couldn't agree more with you. The whole Dennis Hickey situation. No, I've heard some stories about Dennis Hickey, but that's for another time. But we talk about it. Jason and I talk about it this offseason, with Champ Kelly. To me, if you're going to run it back, keep Champ with Mike. Let's go one more year, because you said it best. You are not going to get the best candidate if you keep Mike McDaniel, because Jason's favorite guy, you're going to talk about him now, Alec Hallaby from the Eagles. He's not going to come here if Mike McDaniel's even still in the building and take the job, right? Like, he's going to come and want his own guy. The top candidates are going to want their own guy. So I couldn't agree with you more. How much realistic shot do you think Champ Kelly has? Because they brought him in. And when they brought him in, I heard some things about, they really like this guy. This is kind of, success plan. What do you know about Champ Kelly? I know he's a decent candidate, kind of in the realms. To me, if you keep Mike, he's probably the tier candidate you're going to get, in my opinion. Your thoughts on that, on Champ Kelly and his shot here, and actually potentially staying? You think he has a realistic shot?
Yeah, so in the offseason, when he came, someone told me from another team, that's a really good hire, because when he was with the Raiders as their interim general manager, he did a really good job. He really did. And they thought that he was going to get hired with the Raiders. Of course he didn't, because the Raiders went in a totally different direction, and Pete Carroll and all that success that they're having. But whatever. The point being that it's not like he's a schlub. He's not.
Yeah.
He's good at what he does. And so I've not been told anything in that regard. But if he doesn't get a fair shot, something's wrong. right? I mean, I don't know what's going on inside the building. I mean, for all I know, he's locking, coaches in a closet every afternoon and they can't get out. And so it's a problem, but I don't think that's probably happening. So I think he's going to get a fair shot to have the job.
Fair shot is, I'm all for that. I'm all for the process, interview, bring people in. I happen to think, at the George's point, that, no GM will accept the job knowing that they have to walk into Mike McDaniel or whatever. I'm kind of in the world where I would love, if there is a person out there, I believe that there is, who is ready for that next step in their career to become a general manager. I think that man is Alec Hallaby from the Eagles, who has learned from arguably one of the top 2 or the best GM out there in Howie Roseman. So whether it's this offseason or the next offseason, I truly think he's going to be the next great GM. And do the Dolphins want to take a risk of losing out on that kind of person to, quote unquote, run it back with Champ and Mike and let the chips fall where they may in 2026, and then we'll figure out what happens next offseason?
Look, you mentioned the Eagles and Howie Roseman. All I have to say about Howie Roseman is this. If you are an NFL general manager for 31 other teams and Howie Roseman is calling you, do not answer the phone. And the reason that you do not answer the phone is because Howie Roseman is calling you to destroy you. He is calling you to take your house, take your car, take your clothes, take your bank account, and make you feel good about it. And so if I'm a general manager and Howie Roseman is calling me, I don't freaking make any deals with Howie Roseman because it always helps Howie Roseman.
Exactly. But that's why I want the guy who is learning from him. And it's almost like, I know this is a weird thing here. I know sometimes George and I like to talk about a different sport and correlation to football. But if I had a Christmas or Hanukkah wish of who I want to run the Miami Dolphins, I would say get the number 2 of the number 1 guy in the game. And I think it's a situation where that kind of a person in Hallaby could say, I'm going to be the man to fix this mess. Almost like what we saw in baseball with a Theo Epstein, a brainiac kind of kid, young, ready to just say, you know what, you guys haven't won in a while, I'm going to fix it. And that's exactly what Epstein did in baseball with the Red Sox. And I think there could be a similar tee up of a situation for that this offseason. And I'm not, listen, let's play it out. If Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins run the table, they get some luck, they win a playoff game, okay, let's run it back. But are we really thinking that that's going to happen? And do we want to miss out on a potential stud like a Hallaby?
Yeah. Again, we're on the same page. I told you what I thought about that whole thing. The running it back, all I know is this. I've seen guys, this thing goes in cycles. There is nothing new under the sun. We've seen it all before. The running it back with the coach that starts slow after 3 years doesn't work. And it's not after 3 years. In the third year, it does not work. Joe Philbin would always start slow and then kind of sort of rally at the end. Even though 1 year he didn't rally at the end and they still saved him. Remember, he lost to frickin' Rex Ryan, who team had won 2 games or something, and yet they came down here and handed it to the Dolphins. And after the game, Stephen Ross gave him an extension, which I don't get. Anyway, the point is that the following year, they started out slow again. And they went to London, and I was told before that game, if he doesn't win this game, he's out. And what we're doing is, if the Dolphins rally towards the end here, fall short, give McDaniel another chance, and then next year, for the third year in a row, he starts slow, he's out. He will not survive the season.
Well, let's move on to we got the Steelers this week coming up. I read Deshaun Elliott's going to be out. A couple former Dolphins. What are your thoughts on this game? And the weather will be significantly colder. But I do think this new Dolphins identity helps them. Actually, they're not trying to spread it around. This new identity. Your thoughts on this kind of the Steelers Dolphins matchup here on Monday night?
The Steelers should be better than they are. I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan. I have a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin, and he's taken a lot of crap the last few weeks, including from his former players, which he helped to develop. And I mean, think about this, guys. James Harrison. Is it James Harrison?
Yeah, the linebacker.
Yeah. He was a nobody, a journeyman, until 2007 when Mike Tomlin arrived. And that year he started all 16 games. And the next year he was a defensive player of the year. And that guy who became a guy under Mike Tomlin last week was ripping Mike Tomlin, saying, I never thought he was that good a coach. Dude, he turned you into somebody. What are you talking about? He turned you into a Super Bowl champion. Ben Roethlisberger, who played 15 years for Mike Tomlin, won a Super Bowl with Mike Tomlin. And I get it. He won one with Cowher too. But won a Super Bowl with Tomlin and really grew up with Tomlin. He's saying, yeah, maybe it's time for Tomlin to go. Bro, have you ever heard of like loyalty? Have you ever heard of, even if you have that opinion, you hold it, because that's what a man should do. You don't go out there because you've got a podcast and throw your guy that made you, developed you, under the bus. You guys remember Antonio Brown, right? Antonio Brown played for 10 years for Mike Tomlin, and we didn't know that he was a jerk. And we didn't know that he was crazy. But the second that he leaves the Pittsburgh Steelers, Antonio Brown is a nut job. And we found out. How is that possible? Is it possible that maybe Mike Tomlin did a really good job getting 1,500 yards out of him every single year and not making him look like a foof? And the second he leaves, he's taking his shirt off on the sideline of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and leaving the stadium in the middle of a game? That's Mike Tomlin. So my point being that I think that the Dolphins are facing a hell of a coach on Monday night. He's great. Not good.
Yeah.
He's great. His defense isn't great, but he's great.
And if they want to get rid of him, I know a place where I'd love to have him down here. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like when I saw that Harrison. I was surprised by it. I didn't like it. It just rubbed me the wrong way. Just because the type of fabric that he was made of, I thought Harrison. I didn't like it at all. That surprised me. And Tomlin's, like, to your point, seems like a guy who protects his guys. So that's strange.
He protects the brand. He protects the team. He protects the locker room. And now those same guys that he's protected are turned on him last week. And took shots at him inside the tent, and it's lame. And to your point, on January, it's not going to happen. The Steelers are not going to fire Mike Tomlin, okay? But in a fantasy world, it's January 6th. The Steelers didn't make the playoffs, and they fire Mike Tomlin. If I'm Stephen Ross,
let's get the yacht ready.
No yacht and coaches.
Out of the private jet. Which one do you want? Jason, you want to pull up this question here?
I got a quick. Yes, definitely want to get into that question. But just a quick follow up on the Steelers. When you look at the numbers, they do not have a terrific pass defense. I believe that they're ranked 28th. But the last two games, they have given up an extensive amount of yardage via the run. So you got the elements, you got 18 degrees, you got probably wind, cold. How do you expect the Dolphins to go into Pittsburgh and beat two stigmas, cold weather and the national televised game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which they've had trouble with?
Yeah, I'm not a big cold weather, Dolphins can't win in cold weather guy. I think Dolphins can't win against good teams. And it just so happens that at the end of the year, they run into, Kansas City at Kansas City. And, oh, my gosh, it's cold. So that's why they lost. No.
They ran to Kansas
City. Lost because the freaking Kansas City Chiefs went to the Super Bowl and won it. And on their way, they stomped the Dolphins. That's why the Dolphins didn't win. Oh, well, the Dolphins, the Buffalo this, Buffalo that. No, it's not the cold weather of Buffalo. It's the Buffalo Bills. That's it. Okay. So that's what I think is the problem. It's the teams that they face, not the weather. Jalen Ramsey is on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who's saying, oh, Jalen Ramsey can't play in the cold weather? Nobody's saying that. Last year, people were saying, oh, Jalen Ramsey is one of a team that can't play in the cold weather. What? Last year, Jonnu Smith was caught, a bunch of touchdown passes for a team that can't play in cold weather. He's playing in cold weather now. No one's saying Jonnu Smith can't play in cold weather. Is it the fact that it's the players that can't play in cold weather when they're playing for the Miami Dolphins, or is it the Miami Dolphins playing really good teams in cold weather?
They beat the Jets in cold weather. It's the Jets. That's what I think. Two things: the opponent.
I don't want to discount the win. I don't want. It was a balmy. It was a balmy 40 degrees in Newark on Sunday. I was there and I was loving life because it was like the weather was good. It wasn't bad.
Mondo, we're South Florida guys. You know what I mean? That's cold weather for us.
As a New York, New Jersey boy, it was all right. It was tolerable.
All right. I want to get into that question that Lou had. Jason, go ahead. I know Jason reads our questions here.
Yeah. I'm sure you can see over my shoulder on my wall or below it is the Richmond Webb jersey. And our boy Lou from Dade asked, Armando, can Richmond Webb make the final list for the Hall of Fame this year?
I've been trying.
We know. We know,
man. So let me show you something. Hold on a minute.
Breaking news. We should have some. And obviously people know Armando has a Hall of Fame vote. He's the one.
Yep.
He campaigned for these guys harder than anybody. So.
The idea of Richmond Webb getting into the Hall of Fame, you have to have a lot of people behind him because everybody else has a lot of people behind him. So who could get behind him that would help him? Well, Dan Marino's behind him, but he's been behind him for years. And that hasn't really gotten him over the hump. Hasn't even gotten him in the room. They call it in the room is when you are a finalist and you get people like me to present you, is what they call it, to the other selectors to try to convince them to induct that person into the Hall of Fame. I presented Jason Taylor. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I presented Zach Thomas. It took a minute, but he got into the Hall of Fame. Those are the only two guys. By the way, I presented Bill Belichick in the committee a couple of weeks ago. He's a finalist now. So I'm not saying that I'm a great presenter, but damn it, I'll hold my breath if you don't put my guy in the Hall of Fame. And that would be a bad look if I pass out during the meeting. I try to get people to endorse him. And the person that has been hard to get is Bruce Smith, right? And you figure Bruce Smith is the guy because he is a Mount Rushmore type name. He is a Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. And he played Richmond Webb twice a year for a decade. So I texted Bruce Smith and I asked him, do you think Richmond Webb is a Hall of Famer? And he didn't text me back. And it's been 3 years. And we haven't gotten an answer. And then on Monday, my phone goes ding. And it was Bruce Smith. And
I just got chills.
And he said, sorry for the delay. And I'm like, yeah. He's been dealing with things, but God bless him. He answered this time, and he answered the question. He says, I think he is a Hall of Famer. Yes! Exclamation point. So I have shared that with the selectors. Okay. So I don't know that that's going to get Richmond Webb a ton of votes or more votes or less votes or any votes. But at least selectors now know that someone of the height of a Bruce Smith believes that Richmond Webb is a Hall of Famer. I think that's important. I think that's good.
That's great.
And I think, that will, if nothing else, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, Armando. That's fantastic. I mean, growing up, it was like you always knew that Bruce Smith was going to do something against an AFC East opponent, except the Dolphins. Like Richmond Webb cut his production in literal half. And this is almost kind of thank you for saying that story on our show. That's such an awesome, direct story, because that's what we want. The famous Kevin Mawai endorsing Zach Thomas during his speech. I'm sure that helped, kind of that final push. So thank you for bringing that up. It's really great to hear that Bruce is throwing the endorsement in there.
Yeah, I got when you mentioned that story, just when you said Monday, I thought it was going to lead somewhere else. And when you said that, it gave me goosebumps. Man, we hope.
For sure.
We've had Richmond on, and Richmond is just as nice of a person behind the scene. I mean, you'd be shocked if you think of an NFL player, the kindest guy. It's incredible. You know what I mean? Dealing with him, he's
I'm aware.
Yeah. But
he knows.
It's hard to believe, though, right? Like it's like, wow, he's that nice. All right, I want to talk about your book because we did another book giveaway. This book, 100 Things Dolphin Fans. You like that, huh, Armando? I made sure I grabbed it. 100 Things Dolphin Fans should know and do before they die. One lucky loyal listener is getting this book for the holidays. Guys, make sure you have to be a subscriber. Make sure you're commenting, video comments in below the video after. Jason and we have two books here. We have given away Dave's and book and yours, Armando, and we're gonna randomly put them names and give them to one lucky listener. So yes, this is a great book. Armando, tell us a little bit about it and tell the listeners a little about what they could be getting and kind of your process writing this book.
Yeah, no, it was an entire summer of compiling what I thought was the 100 greatest stories about the Miami Dolphins that every fan should know. And obviously, it goes from back to when I was a little boy, basically, and had no idea that the NFL even existed into the 60s. All the way to 2020 when Tua was drafted. So everything in between there, the good, the bad, the ugly, the glorious, the inglorious, it's all in there. And a lot of stuff that I didn't know when I was doing the research and talking to people, and I talked to a lot of people. Unfortunately, a lot of them have passed away. But I talked to them, many of them, before they passed away. And yeah, it's a compilation of all of that. If you are a Miami Dolphin fan, my God, and you want to know what it is that you're actually rooting for and the history of it, you got to know the history to know where you've been, so that you know how you got where you're at. And that book does it.
Yeah. So again, make sure you're a subscriber. It's a fantastic book. It's got everything, from, the end of the Shule era, the Killer Bees to, 2004. I mean, everything. It's a great book. So probably next week we'll decide, or pretty close to the holidays, we'll decide to give out these books. So make sure you comment on the video, like it, be a subscriber. You're going to get, one of you guys are going to get this. So our appreciation.
Or go to Amazon and buy your own damn book.
Yeah. Yes. True. Do that. But one lucky listener.
Well, you don't have to buy it.
We picked up the tab for you, but everyone else who doesn't win it.
We picked up the tab for one. How about that?
Go help them out and go get the book. 100%.
Yeah. Go get the book, but one of you guys don't need to go get the book because we're going to give it to you. But all right, Armando, we kept you a long time. I appreciate it. Anything you want to kind of, where they can find you, what you're working on, where they, if they want more Armando Salguero, where do they go?
Yeah, so just follow me at Armando Salguero. Armando Salguero right there. On X or Twitter or whatever. And I'm still working at Outkick. They still pay me to go to NFL games for free. It's amazing, my life. It's great.
Oh, we have one bonus question.
One Jason, final bonus question. 'Tis the season, Armando, and I think people know what question is coming. Is Die Hard, in your opinion, a Christmas movie, nay or yippee-ki-yay?
Well, everybody says it is, and who am I to, say no to Bruce Willis? I am not anti-Bruce Willis. I am pro-Bruce Willis. I am anti-terrorist. Yippee-ki-yay!
What a way to end. Love it.
All right, Armand. Thank you so much. Maybe in the off season we can do it again and see what actually happens, with all these decisions. We appreciate it. And thanks everybody. For Armando, for Jason, for myself, we're out. Fins up, everybody.
Thank you, Armando.
Thank you.